All right, let's just jump right in. You ever stare at a problem, a really big, complicated one, and you just have no clue where to even start? Yeah, we've all been there. It turns out what we often need isn't just a quick solution, but a better way to think about finding the solution. We need a framework.
So, here's a funny story. Our original plan for this explainer was to break down different problem-solving strategies. We started doing our research, looking for some solid sources, and then, bam, we ran smack into a problem of our very own.
And I mean a literal wall. Access denied. The irony, right? Our own research into problem solving got stopped cold by a problem. And for a second there, honestly, we were totally stuck.
And that's when it hit us. The real problem wasn't the roadblock itself. The real challenge was figuring out how to think about the roadblock. What do? Try a different link? Scrap the topic altogether? And just like that, this meta problem became the perfect topic. How do you build a system to tackle any problem starting from the very top?
And guess what? There's a brilliant 3-step framework for exactly this. It's all about moving from the big why all the way down to the specific how. We're going to break down these 3 levels: your approach, then your method, and finally your technique. Think of this as our roadmap. All right, so let's start at the very top, the highest, most abstract level, your approach. This is all about one thing, starting with why. So what exactly is an approach? Well, it's not a plan, it's not a to-do list. It's your core philosophy. It's the set of assumptions you bring to the table about the nature of what you're even trying to do. It's your belief system for this specific task. Okay, this is a perfect way to see it in action. Think about learning a new language. One person might see language as a rigid system, full of grammar rules and vocabulary lists to memorize. That's the structural view. But someone else might see language as mainly a tool for connection and communication. That's the functional view. Now here's the key. Neither one is right or wrong. But that starting belief, your approach, is going to change everything that comes next. Here's a really simple way to wrap your head around it. Let's say you're planning a trip to Ecuador. The very first question isn't, which hotel should I book? No. The first question is, why am I going? Are you seeking adventure, or are you looking for pure relaxation? That why? That is your approach.
Okay, so you've figured out your why. Now we can move down to the next level, the method. This is where we actually start building the plan. Your why informs your what.
A method is your overall plan of attack. It's how you take that big, abstract philosophy, your approach, and turn it into a real-world strategy. It's where, as the source material puts it, theory is put into practice. And it has to be totally consistent with your approach. Otherwise, it just won't work.
And a method isn't just one simple thing. It's a whole design. It's got a bunch of moving parts, like what are your big picture goals? What are the smaller, specific objectives? What content are you even going to cover? What kind of activities will be involved? What's everyone's role going to be? See? It's a whole blueprint for action. Okay, let's jump back to our Ecuador trip. If your approach is adventure, what's your method going to be? Probably backpacking through the rainforest, right? But if your approach is relaxation, your method is going to look more like booking a fancy all-inclusive resort on the beach. See how the approach completely dictates the plan? And that brings us all the way down to the most concrete level of this framework, the technique. This is where you pick your tools. You've got your philosophy, you've got your plan. Now it's time to figure out what you're actually going to do step by step. So a technique is super specific. It's the nitty-gritty. It's the actual action you take in the moment, the procedure, the trick, the specific thing you do to get an immediate result. This is where the rubber hits the road. So if we're talking about learning a language again, what are the techniques? Well, it could be something like reading a paragraph out loud, or listening to a recording, or maybe having a group chat, or doing some translation exercises. They're the individual tasks, the building blocks of your method. And to finally bring our travel analogy home, if your method is backpacking, then your techniques are the small things, like using an app on your phone to book a hostel for the night, or pulling out a phrase book to ask for directions. They are the specific, in-the-moment actions that make your backpacking plan a reality. Okay, so we have our 3 layers: approach, method, and technique. Let's zoom out and put this all together, because the real magic here isn't just knowing the pieces. It's understanding how they fit together to become a framework for, well, pretty much anything. It really all boils down to one simple question. How do these 3 ideas actually connect with each other? Which one drives the bus? And here it is. This might be the single most important takeaway of this entire thing. The arrangement is hierarchical.
It only flows one way, from the top down. Your techniques are just there to carry out your method, and your method has to be consistent with your approach. If your actions don't match your plan, or your plan doesn't match your core philosophy, what do you get? You get friction, you get confusion, and usually you get failure.
So I want to leave you with this. Think about the biggest project or the biggest problem you're facing right now. Seriously. Got it in your head? Okay. Don't start by thinking about what you need to do. Start at the very top. Before you even think about the method or the techniques, ask yourself this one simple question. What's my approach?